Okay, so I don't have a planned speech here, but hey, Moira,
Hey.
what's up? Um, just thought it'd be fun to have a little conversation here and um, share with our respective communities, and we're both on school doing our own thing. Moira, you want to introduce what you're doing on school?
Sure. Um, well, you know what? It's been through lots of evolutions. I was actually talking to somebody kind of looking back over the last, 20 years, especially the last 10 years. So it's been an interesting thing to kind of watch evolve, but essentially, I think that we go through our lives and we pick up conditioning from the world around us. And sometimes we see it happening, and a lot of times it happens in the background. So I wanted to create a community where we could actively start noticing those moments and pieces of conditioning that we're carrying, um, to highlight them and bring them back to our attention so we can start deconditioning a bit so that then we can maybe see more possibilities than kind of the way I think our current world is really set up to like feed us down a trough of very specific options. And
Mhm.
so if that works for you, then that's great. But I think ultimately it doesn't ever work for people long term. And a lot of people it never works for.
Mhm.
So it's a really long way to answer. A space to decondition really
What
is the
what
thing
is the
I'm
name of your community? So for
decondition
people.
together.
Be conditioned together. It's a great community. I highly recommend it. I get a lot of inspiration from Moira's posts. She's very insightful, very thoughtful about things, and it's just a really healthy. I think it's just healthy to reconsider the world around us from a lens, not always necessarily of being critical, but of what is it? Why are we always seeing things this way or dealing with things this way? And it can be very, very subtle. And when you start to think about it, you realize you unravel certain angles that maybe you've never thought of before, and it can become really, really cool. So, highly
Yeah,
recommend yours groups. Check it out if you guys haven't checked it out.
well, thank you. A term that I had heard several years ago that's really stuck with me is someone who referred to themselves, and was in the business world, but a positive contrarian.
Mm.
I
Oh, I
really
like
liked
that.
that. I liked it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like I'm like poking at this and poking at that and poking at this all the time.
Hmm.
But really, the intent is like that I think there's maybe better options out there if we can unstick the stuff that's not working. It's not working for anybody, really.
Yeah, and I think with the spirit of your group and what you're doing, I've been noticing this a lot, especially on school. There's a very positive focus on kind of changing the paradigm, like shifting the attention and the focus away from always being negative. I think a lot of people on school are very conscious of how social media, I mean, we were just talking about this before we started recording, but how social media kind of tarnishes the reality by constantly putting us in this fight or flight, like agree or disagree. You have to have an opinion. You have to be, high stakes, adrenaline, cortisol pumping through your system at all times.
Right.
Have an opinion,
Yeah.
uh, attitude, and it's just I think we implicitly or explicitly understand that here on school, a lot of people, and these communities that are being created are focusing a lot on that. So,
I mean, I haven't seen in 6 months. It's just very exciting that yesterday was my 6 months having a school community. I feel like the time has flown by, but I don't think that I've seen in any of the groups I've been a part of any like negativity. Like people don't disagree. I've seen where people aren't agreeing, but there's no
Right.
nastiness
Dude,
at
yeah,
all,
you
like
point
ever.
yeah, that's a really good point. You point that out, and I have not really thought of that, but that is so true. It's just that does not exist on school. It feels so much healthier. And yeah, that's amazing. A lot
I
of
made a comment on a different social media platform, and I was like, I mean, that's not exactly true, is basically what I said. And it was like the like seven comments in, the next 12 hours of like
hmm
just like, wow, like you obviously wouldn't say that to me if we were face to
Right,
face.
right. Oh my gosh.
And I was
That
like, but you kind of forget being in school, you kind of forget that that exists. And then you go into like the typical social media and it's a little jarring.
hmm
Because
hmm
I guess it should always be jarring, but it's a little bit, I feel a little bit more now. And I go, oh, right, this is why I don't comment on anything here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also just such a huge time suck when you get wrapped up in these conversations or dispensing an opinion where your entire objective, I mean, at least this is how I have engaged with social media in the past. I know we're all guilty of it to some degree. I've gotten very intense disagreements on platforms like Twitter and Instagram and just uh I haven't done that in a while. I'm only on school actively and Substack now, and Substack kind of has a
Oh.
social media scrolling thing called Notes, which it's I think it's good. It's better than something like Twitter. It's not as it hasn't the well hasn't been poisoned as strongly, but there,
Right.
still a lot of potential contention, and there's still a lot of very politically, ideologically driven content on there and people posting things to be inflammatory. But
Yeah.
it's a lot more intellectual, or at least people are trying to articulate things, and they're very conscious of that. So I
Right.
appreciate it more. But I got into a comment thing where I was like disagreeing with someone, and I don't even remember what the topic was, but I spent probably 4 hours because the person was going back and forth with me. And
Right.
it was like dopamine rush every time I
Right.
saw that they responded. And we're like deep in this thread. Like no one's ever gonna care. No one's ever gonna be following this conversation, this
Mhm.
back and forth between these two strangers where they're trying to
Right.
convince each other. So it's like, no, we're not changing anybody's hearts and minds. We're not having a productive thing here. I will
Yeah.
say though, it was civil and it was very much
Nice.
it was kind of in this vein of, I respect your opinion. However, did you consider
Right.
this? So there was it was like an elevated level of
Right.
that comment fighting. But man, it's like a wake up call. You forget that it's so easy to get sucked into this stuff, and it's all been designed in this way. It's so insidious, man. They have really, and they have openly admit this. They do this on purpose. They've studied how to get people addicted, and that's
Yeah.
what they want them to use these platforms for. They are very, very calculated in how they present, how they configure your algorithm and how to get you to respond, and it's all dopamine based, and it's just like not
Right.
healthy. It's just so good. So
Well, I mean, and I wonder if this would be the same if social media didn't exist because, and I was telling you before we went when we started recording, I was sitting in a coffee shop and there's this like long table of a whole bunch of people and they're discussing things and I could hear it and I could just
hmm
feel like my blood boiling. And I'm not going to obviously say anything, but I was feeling that just like listening. And I wonder if I just wonder if that's any different having that experience with having the existence of social media or if I would have just tuned it out.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know? Because
yeah.
I was like ready to fight some of the things that they were saying. I was like, that's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. And they were saying it with such conviction.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing to ponder for sure. Like how much how much we pay attention to that and how much of our like um how much we're impassioned by it in everyday discourse is like what
Right.
is that? Is that a direct result of our social media conditioning? Speaking of conditioning, it's kind of like makes you think of like what would you have done in the 90s, before all of
Well,
this
okay,
internet
so
stuff.
this actually leads into something, and I think it's along the same veins, but I've been thinking about this a lot, and I do every like few months. There's a rapper that I really like, and like the kind of rap that you can, like, he's a lyricist, you can like follow what he's saying, and I
Oh, cool.
love his
Okay.
stuff. And there was a rap battle. And I remember when I came across this maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, like, this is not my world. I didn't know that like, this happened in this culture where they do this. Like, one puts out a song and then there's another one that rebuts it, and then like another one, and it's this whole like thing. I still can't say that I really understand it, but this one specifically, I was just like so fascinated with because basically it started by, well, social media was definitely a part of this because this was like 6 years ago, because it started because this one rapper said something on social media, and then there was a song created, and then there was this back and forth, a total of 3 songs. And I don't know why I'm so fascinated with this, because I go and I listen to them in sequence every few months,
Uh-huh.
and I just find it incredibly fascinating to watch play out. And then also, I didn't know this was the thing either, that there are like whole YouTube channels where people like watch and react to songs.
Oh, reaction videos. Oh, that's a huge genre
I
of
didn't really, I mean, I obviously know now, and I've known for a couple years, but like it was maybe 2 years ago that I like stumbled on this, and I was like, oh my gosh, people watch music videos and react to them live, and I just didn't know it was a thing. So then I've been watching like reaction videos to other people watching the back and forth. I did that last night at like midnight. I was like, this is so fascinating.
The reaction
Because,
thing is weird. Yeah.
well, so it's that, but then also I was like trying to figure out what is it in watching this back and forth that I am finding so fascinating.
Hmm.
And part of what I was coming up with is that one of the rappers, it would seem, is like playing the game of the typical, like how the music industry works and has run.
Hmm.
And the second rapper is like saying, I'm not paying any attention to how this is typically done. I'm forging my own path forward. And I think
Mm.
that there were some undertones in the songs, even though they weren't talking about it explicitly, of that energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Of this like, this is the way you're supposed to do things, and
Uh-huh.
you're not doing things the way you're supposed to be doing them.
So they're
Um,
battling, one rapper is battling that the other is not doing it the right way or the conventional way.
Kind of. And again, it's like kind of an undertone. And I, put a lot of time into these 3 songs.
You should
I
do
could be
your
reading
own
all sorts
reaction
of stuff
video.
that doesn't exist into it, but it really feels like, well, I don't think that's true. I actually think I'm not. I think that it's there. Um, but just that there's this like, there's something fascinating too, just watching the back and forth.
Hmm.
Because, well, to begin with, one of the things is that they're both guys, and the way that they tear into each other is like, I would never even in a million years think about saying this to another person. But like, it's endlessly entertaining from my perspective, looking in at the outside. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's like a really long story to say, like, there's something really fascinating about watching this like dynamic and this like between people. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I feel like that was happening in the rap culture, say, before social media was having
Yeah.
us do it. So I think it's just highlighting a tip, like
Mm, yeah,
a
that's yeah.
human thing that like they've tapped into it, but it exists in other places too.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like a very long way to say that.
So the 90s version of comment battles was diss tracks, rap battles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's I mean there is kind of a uh base urge or something, I guess you could say like a way to make yourself feel I don't know, it's like a battle of egos, I think. Would you say that's
But they
fair?
were also doing it like to the face of the other people, where here, so much of
Hmm.
it happens hidden behind a keyboard and like
Right, yeah.
you don't even know if you're like talking to a human or you've just got a bot at the other end.
Right.
Like, so there's that too, where like, because some of these rap battles were like face to face, I think,
Yeah, that I mean that's a
right?
thing. That's like a cultural component of like hip hop for sure. Like breakdancing and
Oh,
hip
right. They
like
did it with dancing too.
hip like rap battles. Yeah, it's like it's very showy and I think now it's gotten so bastardized and it's kind of cheesy. But
Right.
the if you look I saw very maybe it was like the Olympics actually that I saw because I think it's an Olympic sport now, breakdancing.
Oh gosh, that was big last round.
Yeah. And but they're like they're pantomiming the like aggressiveness or like
Right.
the ego kind of stuff. And it's just funny because it's this is like not the place for that. You know, the Olympics, it's like the prestige or
Yeah.
whatever of the Olympics and these the culture of breakdancing and I don't know. It's funny to
It
put those
doesn't
two
seem
things
like it's
together.
a, Olympic type activity, but
Yeah, it's very God, our everything's so weird now. We're just in this such a weird. I feel like our culture is just in this tailspin of anything that it has like relevance from the past 20 years is now being sanctified or turned into some this like this is so important now. We have to honor it in some way and like turn it into this new phenomenon and make it really like sacred or something.
you know what? So I think this actually really ties in well to what um what okay, so it ties in really well to just this idea of um sorry, let me organize my thought real quick
No
because I think
problem.
this is really
I've been there.
important. So, something real happens, right? And it comes from culture, it comes from real lived experience.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is also big in the dance world because these different dances originated in different countries with different cultural roots, and meaning was behind the music, it was behind the dance.
yeah, totally.
And so people observe this real thing happening, but they don't understand what comes along with this real thing. So
Or
then
they're
they
not.
like try to
They're,
recreate. Well, so then they like try to recreate it, and it's lost like what made it.
yeah, I think let me repeat back to you what I think you're getting at of like
Yeah,
the idea of the cultural thing.
yeah,
I do think there's like a lot of elements to dissect, but
yes,
where people go from kind of mythologizing something, making it be really like I mean the hip hop stuff. Not, I mean we're picking up like we're just
yeah,
using hip hop as an example. I don't
yeah.
have some deep knowledge of all the world of hip hop, but like you know I do live in New York, right?
Right, right, right.
So, but and you also kind of just absorb it by growing up as a
Yeah,
millennial, I think.
yeah,
And there's been so much canonization of it. It's been
yeah,
really pushed in the culture as like it's a significant art form in all of its
yeah,
facets.
yeah,
So yeah, there's this kind of like generational urge to make something that spawned from a very specific set of circumstances, especially something like an urban environment, like
right,
and to make that be relevant on the world stage because it became crazy. It's like a worldwide phenomenon.
right.
And uh yeah, it's the mythologizing of it and turning it into a new prestige is kind of what also creates this fakeness or this kind of let's say genericness around it and does what it's like the Olympic effect. It makes it
Right.
whatever its origins are, whatever its organic thing in the beginning was that made it edgy is now kind of turned into the formula. And that formula, like what I was trying to identify earlier about uh breakdancing battles is there's a lot of like fronting and like,
Yeah.
gesturing to like a lot of times they'll start the dance by getting in the other person's face to get really close. It's like
Right.
they're getting their personal space to intimidate them and like you just can't do that when it's like
Right.
a formalized thing or it's become like a new, like now the Koreans are like the top break dancers in the world. It's like
Right. Right. Right.
Korea didn't go through like a period that New
Right.
York went through in the early 1980s. It's just like totally different. So it's funny how the phenomenon changes in based on like how it adapts to we how we adapt through the cultures through
Well,
cultures.
I mean, so it happened in like ballroom can be beautiful, is beautiful,
Oh,
but
you
it's
were a
not
dancer, weren't you? You were,
yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, but ballroom would be an example of I like what you would find in the streets with live music. But a lot of that like salsa has been massively transformed to fit into the ballroom world.
Mm,
Right? So it's like I
interesting.
personally don't like it. I don't like how it was changed. I don't like how the music has changed. It's gotten really like tinny and manufactured. Um, but also I feel like we can't have this discussion without because talking about then there's this like move to like make cultural appropriation bad, which
Uh-huh.
I'm not on board with that either because that's just I'm not on board with that because well, okay, so then this goes to the art thing because it would seem to me that at this point, nobody's creating anything new. Like we're all borrowing from other
Mm-hmm.
people to create.
Hmm.
So we don't own, no one who creates something really owns it because they didn't like it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're kind of cobbling together like thousands of other people's ideas
Right.
and formulating
So,
something.
well, there's
Yeah.
like an appreciation of the culture,
Hmm.
like, you know, there's Cuban salsa and there's salsa from Puerto Rico and there's mambo,
Well, yeah,
like
it was
what
like a regional thing.
it was.
Regional. So,
Yeah, and all like all of the African. What's up? Okay, go to bed. Bedtime used to happen at 7:30 on the
oh
nose, and
man.
it was so smooth. And I'll tell you, it's not as smooth. Yeah, so I feel like, I mean, it can be a very nuanced discussion because there's
No,
lots
it's
of different pieces, but
no, that is cool. I think breaking down what is organic, natural growth of a an art movement. Um, Oftentimes, what we associate with culture is just like very tied to the region.
mhm.
Um, I mean, that's interesting. I don't know much about dance, but I have heard about how like there's a Cuban version of salsa, and then there's like different, and it's like obviously that came out of how they're on an island. So,
I mean, yeah. And then there's a lot of passion around it because there are different opinions on where salsa started and who owns
right,
salsa
right.
because you will not get agreement
Yeah,
on where it started. And you will get a very heated discussion if someone tries to say, where it was started.
yeah, yeah.
So,
But how did
yeah.
we started this train of thought from
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
no, go for it.
because I feel like it all like the common thread for me in all of it is there is something like when you see authenticity and like something coming from a real
Oh,
place,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can feel it.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can also feel when there's like, I guess posturing is probably the best word
Mm. Hmm.
around like trying or proving
Yes.
something.
Yes.
And I think we can all feel it when it's happening. Um,
I think yeah, we can definitely intuit that when there's uh, you know, but whether or not we were going this direction, I think we were about social media and how it kind of plays that up. I think that's a huge element of how we are building culture right now. It's like so much of it is kind of regurgitation and presentation over authenticity, and everybody wants to be authentic, but the authentic the authenticity is kind of filtered through these platforms that are doing everything in their power to make it as like addictive as possible, which creates reactions. They want us to be filtering ourselves to be as as reactive as possible, as flamboyant as possible, especially when it comes to politics. But it's in terms of like art, I think we can have organic movements still, obviously, but like how this is something that I wrote about actually that I think is it's slight pivot, but like could be interesting to explore about how nowadays we are so inundated with algorithms and social
mm,
media presence and AI and like all this concern about how we present the authenticity that maybe we're going into a direction where that is going to be the way that we subvert that is by being like in an environment either like school where it's just like positive minded. A lot of people are like have the same mission. It's a community. It's truly like uh, a the values are kind of formulating within the media or within the apparatus,
mhm,
or it's like a complete rejection of it all, where people are going to start building movements outside of the internet or outside of the algorithms, trying to do stuff where it's intentionally subverting how we interact or like the ease of interacting online. It's like being an artist on the internet today. It's like you're almost required to use Instagram. Like
mm,
its entire thing is showing images. So if you want your how you are um, seeing the world to be presented, it's like you what of course you're going to use this platform that's going to reach millions of people, has the potential to do that. It's going to be so much easier to use that than to market yourself the old school way, you know? So,
right.
but I think there's something building. I think there's like artists are notorious for, figuring out the workaround, and we're going to do something. I really truly believe there's going to be like a cultural shift and an artistic thing that's going to be all about like subverting current technology. And I think part of that gets provoked by algorithms, by us being so overwhelmed by that stuff.
Right.
And AI kind of like really exposing or just running roughshod over everything. It's like we have to take back some of that we have to like keep things sacred. And it's like
Right.
opening it up for us to figure out that method. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like part of it is like sometimes we don't know individually, at least is how I find it. Like I don't know my boundaries until someone crosses them.
Right. Yeah. That's
And then
exactly
you're
the
like,
principle. Yes.
hold up.
Right. Right.
Like I'm not okay with that at
And we're
all
experiencing that kind of
in real
culturally.
time.
Yeah. And the digitized, like everything being digital, I think is like really wearing people down, in such a way that like how the next generation is going to be interacting with the internet. I mean, it's a really profound question because they it's the first group of people, first generation of people to really know nothing but the internet. The internet's been around since before they were born, and this kind
Right.
of connective connectivity is always there. Like, how are they gonna find their organic movements or like their big present like ways to engage with art that's not gonna be basically hijacked by algorithms or digital companies, like things that will exploit it on the internet to just like copy paste and turn it into this new AI format or something. Like
Right.
how are they going to subvert all that?
Well, I think that, I mean, we have a different perspective because we remember what it was like before this. So I feel like there's like a sadness to like that we've lost, which they don't have because they don't have that experience.
Hmm.
So I think that, um, yeah, that's giving, sometimes I've been wondering, is like that's almost giving them an emotion that they
Right. Or
don't
you're projecting
have.
that onto them. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
totally, totally.
Um, and then the other thing is, I think that's why it's so important to just listen because the next generation is actively trying to tell us, I think. But
Yes.
when we're so caught up in what we feel like they need to get, then
Yes.
we can't even hear what they're saying to us. And
Hmm.
like I I was watching somebody, it was a teacher talking about he was just horrified that kids are coming into school. I think he was working with junior high kids. Kids
Uh-huh.
were coming into school and they had figured out how to take the system that they were given and work with AI. Like, because this kid had said, like, basically had AI write his paper and then was like, oh, because the teacher could see the computers, like all the kids' computers he had access to, which I was
Okay.
like, oh my God,
That's
like that feels so invasive to me.
that's a
But
little
one
bit
of
of
the things
rebellion. Yeah.
is he watched a kid write an essay and say, did another prompt that said, basically, give spelling and grammatical errors to this so it looks like a teenager.
Wow.
Wrote it. And I was like, that kid is going places because he
Yes.
had figured out how to work with this system. All of the comments in this video were basically that we need to take computers out of schools and we need to give them paper and pencils and basically lock them in a room. So I was like, so instead of recognizing that you've been played,
Yep.
like they've figured out how to work with the old fogies to just
Hmm.
manage and get through. You're going to try to put them back in the Stone Age with paper and pencil. Like, this is, you're creating the problem that you're fighting with here. Like, listen to them because obviously, if you're work that they can do that easily with AI, it is stupid work to be giving them.
Exact.
Like,
Oh my gosh. You hit the nail on the head.
what?
Exactly.
That's a you problem. That's not a them problem. That's a you problem.
Hmm. Hmm.
But like, and that's what I feel like is happening. And this is why generations go against each other.
Hmm.
Because the older people think the young ones are a mess, and the young ones think the older ones are stupid. And honestly, it's kind of both true, probably at some level.
Hmm.
But like they're telling us this work is stupid. It's not relevant in my life. So why are you shoving more of it down their throat?
Hmm. Was this like a YouTube video or something that
It
you were?
was, no, I think it was a TikTok video.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because it was a
There,
teacher like, can you believe this is happening? And I'm like, it's
there's
2026. Of
oh,
course it's happening.
right.
Kids, if they can figure out a way, because I guarantee we all did it too. Like, if you can figure out a
Hmm.
way of not doing the work that you don't want to do,
Exactly.
of course they're gonna do it.
That's when you become
Like,
the most
that's super
creative.
smart.
Yeah.
I'd be worried. I'm more worried about kids that like follow it all to a T.
Exactly, right? That's way
Because
more concerning. I'd be way, 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 I'd be actually concerned if my kid was like following all the rules to that degree while having all these things at her fingertips.
right.
It's really like
Amazing. These kids that are, well, especially kids our age, like by they're, or the kids that are our kids' age, by the
Yeah.
time they're our age, so get, 30 years, 35 years, like I have no idea what the world is going to look like by
I
then.
know.
But I guarantee it's not going to be pencils and paper.
Right. Right. The thing that they got most out of the schooling experience from when they were younger was like learning how to write in cursive, you know? Yeah. I mean, that stuff, I think there's a perfectly valid defense of that kind of thing. And there are really amazing, beautiful things to explore that are like traditional formats and stuff. But what we are really missing when we chastise kids or when we make it all about how they are the problem, that's also
Right.
the biggest thing. I see these I think it's called like teacher talk, but they do these compilations on YouTube of teachers just having meltdowns, basically. They're so depressing to watch. Oh my God. They're horrible because you're empathizing, but then you're also like realizing if you have any kind of perspective like us that it's very much about how they refuse to acknowledge that these kids are just adapted to something that they aren't.
Yeah.
The teachers don't understand because they didn't grow up like using tablets basically. So it's all like foreign to them that the kids would be behaving this way or have these like attention problems and that's my hot take about all of that is that it's really the kids are just basically communicating that they're beyond whatever systems are being employed in these public school systems, in these public school environments. And like the lessons that they're trying to instill don't work because these like they can do everything that the lesson is teaching within, probably 20 minutes by on their own by like going on YouTube and watching a video about it. They can learn all the same things, and they know that. Uh,
Yeah, and I think that is the more that we keep the conversation in the stuff that doesn't matter, like there's actual real things that I feel like we need to be talking about as a
mhm.
society. Because there's certain things I think are a problem. Like I do not want to see tablets in the hands of preschoolers. Like
No, absolutely
it's
not.
like there's real things to pay attention to here, but not
But
like
not like, oh,
the
you can't.
focus
Yeah,
is slanted so often to like it's I don't think it's that.
yeah. Like you're not conforming to the model that's been employed in public school systems for the past 150 years. It's
Right.
like it's not the school or the method, it's the kids. It's always the blame is always put on the children. And if you
Right.
watch these videos and all the comments, just like you're saying, it's like these kids, they're such a problem. There's never, ever, ever focusing on how they are basically the product of their environments and what's going on with technology. And you maybe get like one kind of nuanced comment where somebody's thinking about that. But I really like it's sad to me. I want that focus to be shifted in such a way that we honor how these kids are so innovative. When we were kids in high school, that was like a thing. The internet was just starting, and to find out about a topic or something or to do research for your homework, it was like, oh, I mean, it's so funny to think about now because the internet was way slower. There wasn't as many
Right.
resources. YouTube wasn't even a thing. But like, if you needed to research for your English class, write a paper about a book, you could get like find some synopsis on the internet talking about it. And it was like made your life 10 times easier.
Right.
Like
Right.
you get the gist of what you're learning about. And it's like, oh, you're defiling the purpose of the assignment. But it's like that means that you have to shift the goalposts or the the system has to adapt.
Yeah.
You don't force the student to keep adapting to the system that's outdated.
But I think the fact is that the system doesn't adapt.
And it doesn't adapt,
It
of course.
hasn't. It won't
Hmm.
probably ever start because I heard somewhere, oh my God, I probably shouldn't even say it because it's going to be so fractured when I say it. but I'm going to anyway. It was something like looking at different industries, and it was like in this industry, like the learning curve to like readjust, reevaluate is 2 years. Like in technology, right? It's going to be much shorter. It's going to be a much quicker thing. And then it went to like medical maybe, and so that's like stretched out a little bit more because you've got a bigger gap there. And it was the far end of the spectrum. It was like 50 years for the education to keep up with the times. So it's
That's
always going
amazing.
to be, it doesn't have
Can't.
anything
Yeah,
forcing it to adapt and
exactly.
adjust. Where
Exactly.
like technology, if people are still on their, what did we first have? The Trio phones
I
with the
don't even know
little
what that
stylus.
is.
Yeah. It's like
Oh, oh,
before.
like the BlackBerry style stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. But the Trio is the one I had. And you had the little stylus that you pulled out and the little screen and like that's like trying to pull one of those out now. Like
Right. I know.
it's a
That's literally
joke.
the where they're at with
And
school.
right, like I mean with just every year that the iPhone comes out, I feel like. I mean my phone is from 2022 and I feel like it's archaic at times.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. But this kind of thing is this ownership thing I want to bring it back to because it's very, I think it's so rel it's funny because I had all these ideas for what we could talk about and like we've gone in our own direction. And I really like that. Um, but like the main focus of like how the next generation and how these kids are gonna like establish themselves, um, not trying to project onto like my desires for the next generation, but to really have a uh something that they can um have complete autonomy over is hard to imagine. I don't know what the best what I'm trying to do with my community, okay,
Yeah.
is really engage that question from the perspective of art learning. And because I think art learning is like an eternal, valuable human skill that is doesn't matter what stage technology is in. It was the very first thing humans learned how to do. It's inbuilt, it's ingrained into our psyches. It's like it's how we communicate, it's how we explore. The creative mind is essential to the development of humanity, and those skills, if we as we identify them, are endlessly helpful for the development of a fully engaged person.
Hmm.
But like, I don't know how what the obviously we can't predict the future, but I try to envision like how my child's generation is going to take the reins and really manage this new behemoth that's been created in the past 20 years that is like the social media machine, the internet algorithm machine, AI, uh, in a way that like we can't, I mean, to me, the answer is like creativity, teaching them creativity so that they can figure it out. But like how it's easy to get really freaked out and daunted and turn it into like a dystopian nightmare kind of scenario because there's so many factors to consider about how technology influences us and what it's done to the Generation Z and how it's like literally affected their development as people and how we've just, gave babies, toddlers, little kids tablets and smartphones and the screen world and yeah, where that goes and what we can do to help it or how we can engage it without getting hysterical or without turning it into some kind of like I don't want to create a cult, you know? Like so I don't know, what do you think about that?
Well, so a couple things, but one thing that really came to mind, and this is something that really shifted my parenting years ago, was I can't remember kind of what spurred it on, but I do believe that we are all on this planet at the time that we are. Like, I think we make a
Oh
choice
yeah.
to be here.
Uh-huh.
And so I feel like you and I chose to be here to have the experience we had pre-technology, post. But I think the kids that are being born now or living now, they made a different choice for a different reason to be here now.
Hmm.
And so I think that that just helps me trust that I don't understand that path because my path was different, but just supporting them in whatever, again, listening to them when they're trying to
Yeah.
articulate what is important to them or where they feel like it goes is the best thing that we can do. Because I feel like that's the thing we see in generations is there's so much judgment from one generation to the next of like, well, they're just a mess and they're a hopeless case kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Instead of you can figure it out. Like we've got your back. There's not a whole lot of like we've got your back between generations, I feel like.
That's a great way to put it.
So I
That's
think that that's a
yeah.
big piece. And then also, I think the discussion around like there's this fight against AI taking over jobs, and
Yeah.
I'm thrilled with it because I think that if AI can do a job, then
Like
let
let it do
it.
the job.
And
I
like,
agree. I agree.
then what do you want to do?
Right.
Like, and the thing is if you want to create, then it's about the creating. And if an AI can create, that's not like that's coming from the inside of you. So
Hmm.
what anybody else or AI is doing around you isn't really relevant to your own creative process coming out. So then why would I care about AI making art?
Yeah.
Like it's not my, it's not affecting me really because my own process is my internal process. And it seems to me that the process of making it is more valuable than the actual end result anyway. So then why does it matter? So then all of these jobs, like I've been through this like flip-flop of going into a store and having the register be all automated and being like, oh, I shouldn't do that because I should go check out from the person. And I think like I don't really necessarily think that I want to support like that person has to have other things that they want to do with their lives. Like, yes, we have to, of course, pay bills. And I don't want to like prevent people from being able to support their families or, do that. But
Hmm.
also, if we look at like the bigger picture,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that we're really anybody is best suited for standing behind a register
Yeah. For 8 hours.
or 10 hour, right, day in, day out, like exhausted when they get home and can't like follow the things that excite them and interest them. So like let automation take that over and then support. But it's just because it's the same thing with kids. Like I don't know what the answer is for people because of again, we live in a world that needs money, but
Yeah.
like support them in that process, not do it for them, just like kids. Like I'm not doing it for my son to figure it out.
Yeah.
Supporting but not doing it for. I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense, but I
No,
feel
no,
like
that
it's
makes
like
total sense.
the same thing.
I feel very much very strongly in that same vein as you about AI. And it's just I think the fear of it is it's it's rooted in kind of like first there's the popular cultural stuff like Terminator and um I don't know 1984 this idea
Right.
of like authoritarian totalitarian robot control or something which that's maybe legitimate but it's like that has entered our psyche collectively way before AI became a thing so
Well, like, I mean, they put out the movie. I mean, it's been in how many movies in our
I know
childhood? Like, how many movies that came out in the 80s and 90s were
yeah
all about that happening?
right and it makes you wonder like were they doing that on purpose?
Probably.
But yeah, there's that angle. I think, a lot of people operate from fear. So we're gonna
Yeah.
if everything is gonna be fear-based, then if we're gonna go down that road. I think people are gonna cower in ways that will be unfortunate. But if we have a projection of like you like taking this is another reason why I have my community is like I want us to be able to have the capacity to envision a higher mode of being. Like
Yeah.
AI
Right.
enables that. We can actually be thoughtful and creative about like how we employ AI in our lives. And that's how you control it. You don't control it by like, oh, pass a law. These kids don't
Right.
shouldn't have computers.
Right.
Well, you control it by letting kids like figure stuff out, because they're the most like innovative, thoughtful people. They're gonna be able to like really tap into some crazy things. Um, not like a no holds barred, obviously. And, it's tricky because the internet's such a like despicable place in so many ways.
Well,
But like,
so where we're staying in Cambridge, we're right down the street from the Cambridge Culinary Institute.
mm,
I think the name of it is.
hmm
Anyway, I walk by to the train all the time. And you see people like with their chef hats and,
uh-huh.
you know, in the window because it's all glass front. And then I just realized that across the street is a little coffee shop, and that's where they sell the pastries that the pastry chefs
Oh,
make.
okay.
And I walked in and they have those, like, this is very popular now on social media where it's like the fruit, they look like real fruit.
Uh-huh.
It's a pastry. And they have all of that stuff. And I had this idea of like, oh, maybe I should be a pastry chef, which is so random. Um, but like that's because I want to have the experience. Like that would be so cool. I was like, okay, it's 37 weeks. That's like not that long. I don't actually want to be a pastry chef at all, but I would
Mhm.
love, that would be so much fun to go through the training so I could be one. Um, because I want to go through that experience. Like it's already made, like I have it. Somebody else can make it, but I want to go through and have that could be really fun. I've also had this with welding. These are like the two things. I was like, I could learn how to weld. That would be super fun. And it's
Yeah.
the same, the thing that drives me on both of those things, I don't know if I'll do either of them ever, but the thing that drives me on both of those two things is the experience of being able to create something like that with my hands and like
Mm.
have an idea and then create it.
hmm
So like AI could be like making those all day, every day,
hmm
and that end result could be there, but it's my experience that I want to have.
Right, right, right. That's the
So
effect of
it's,
AI. I
it's
know that.
irrelevant that it exists out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That I know that there's probably some economic law or term or kind of statement about this, but like AI produces things, and what that does is it actually refines the quality of human output because we recognize how poor or how inauthentic something is. AI can do amazing things. It can, like, I watched this YouTube channel that's all about like historically representing cities from, like, there's a video of London in 1300. And that's so cool. Like, it's amazing. I've genuinely, I'm so happy that AI has the capacity to at least give me a glimpse in such an easy way into like what it could have been like to be in London in the year 1300. That
Right.
is totally insane. But I can also understand that while I'm watching the video, I'm seeing like weird glitches and just this like there's just like a curious level of like this is not real, this is inauthentic.
Right.
There's like it's it's a computer generated thing and it's not gonna be the perfect experience. You're not gonna be taken back in time. Uh
Right.
and that's just one example. I'm talking like art or anything being generated by AI, even like things being written by AI. What we're doing, I think, is we're refining our awareness of like authenticity. We're figuring out how to spot, and that is basically compelling us to be more conscious, to be like a lot
It's a
more
good point.
conscientious of the human spirit. And that becomes the way we evolve. And I think that's happening organically, and it should
Yeah.
happen. And as long as we're consciously engaged and we understand that principle, we could just, man, there's so many things we could accelerate. We could just blow out of the water. And things like, I'm sorry to pick on public education all the time, but like the if that system could just be destroyed, like
Right.
our society would just like we would shoot into the stratosphere. Like literally, we would have like moon bases and stuff. I mean, it would be like within a generation, like what we did in the 20th century.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do that again, but even crazier.
Yes, I agree. And I think that um more people are conscious of that and doing it. Like the tide has already turned
Yeah.
in some ways. Like I think it's interesting because I feel like I've seen a few videos on this too, where like the younger kids, I think, can are so much more aware of when they're like, say, an AI video, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they just know it, right?
That's
Where
true too. That's another element to that. The
like they
like
get it, they
theory.
see it.
Yeah.
Where then maybe there was this one video because it was a video. This was, I guess, last year, but it was a whole bunch of dogs like in unison in China, like doing exactly the same thing.
Uh-huh.
And this girl did a video and was like, "My mom thinks this is real." And she was like, "Mom, it's not real." And the mom was like, "No, it's definitely real. They just have the dogs really well trained." There was like 150 dogs doing
Oh
exactly
my God.
the same thing.
Yeah, that's an angle too. The kids being able to, I mean, they're
They get
growing up
it.
with this. They're growing up with this. So they have a
Yeah, so they can
natural
see it and they can see
intuition.
the nuance in it in a way
Mhm.
that
We
I
will
actually there
never
was a
be
video
above the
too I was
chance.
watching and I was like, I think I had to like I didn't trust my eyes because I was like, I think this is a fake video. This seems fake to me. And I
Yeah.
had to like I really had to kind of work at it and it was fake. But I had to like work at it and I feel like
Hmm.
I had to work a little harder than somebody else be like, yeah, that's like I because part of me is like I didn't want it to be true. I wanted it to be true that it was real.
Right. Yeah, that's another. Oh,
I
that's
wanted it.
interesting.
Where like they're not, that's another thing too. I feel like they're just not attached to it in the same way. It's just
Right.
like it's what
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, because they're not ex they didn't grow up with the like analog media the way we did and like watching movies and the way we did. Man, that's interesting.
This is a little off to, well, it's not. It's the same thing. Because one thing that really I don't know if I'm going to have an opinion about it or not. One thing that I have noticed that is that but you know, there's a term for it where like we humanize, say, dogs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anthropomorphize.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And that didn't happen in the same way 30 years ago.
Mm.
And because I'm in kind of the pet world now, it's shocking to me how like I love dogs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love dogs.
Wait, it's a
But
second
I
guess
don't love
yourself.
dogs like modern society loves
Oh,
dogs.
like treating them like they're babies.
Yes, because one thing that I've noticed is there's this shift. Nobody uses dog collars anymore.
Oh, interesting.
They're all in harnesses,
Oh,
all of them,
wow.
which blows my mind because being from Alaska with sled dogs, you know that a dog knows to pull when they have a harness on. So I'm
Yeah.
like, none of these dogs can walk on a leash. All of them pull, and then they put them in harnesses. Like this doesn't make any sense. So I was researching like when did this shift happen? People
Mm.
used to put collars on dogs and
Uh-huh.
like nobody does it anymore. And there was a shift and it seems like it was like around 1995. There was a shift because there were two companies that came out with harnesses and hardcore promoted them. But this is
Interesting.
what's interesting. They promoted them. There was not a problem with collars because they were like, well, they did it because of trachea issues and
Uh-huh.
throat issues. And I was like, but were there throat issues before? Well, no. And I was like, I don't think, I mean, I've been around a lot of dogs and like, I've never heard of a dog having like throat issues from a collar.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm not, of course, you're not jerking on them because it's like still their neck, but like, so I was like, oh my God, I think that they created a problem that didn't exist. But kind of our willingness, this is also another really roundabout story of like our willingness to like the same thing that we're doing with dogs as a society, we're humanizing them. They're a dog. They do not experience life the same way a human experiences it. I
Yeah.
will fight for that until my dying breath. Like a dog is not a human.
Hmm.
Period. You can love dogs, but they're not humans. They'll never be humans. They don't experiencing things like humans. So take that same thinking to the next generation of humans. Like they're growing up in a fundamentally different world. Yes, we're both humans, but there we cannot put our own thinking onto them
Yeah, right. Right.
because they're, but it really, yeah, anyway. It really highlights watching the dog thing because I'm like, this makes zero sense to me. And it was a made up problem.
No, that's like I can totally see that. And I mean I think there's a lot of different factors that contributes to this phenomena of like dog babies because I see that too. We
It's it's gotten
all over the place. It's
pretty
crazy.
it's gotten pretty intense and
I mean,
you
people
know,
aren't
I
even
I
kids.
want to be careful about what I say.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I am noticing it really intensely that like we have really yeah, there's like a societal thing where like people care more about animals than they do other human
oh
beings.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's a problem.
That is insane. And yes, it's yeah, another reason for my community, what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's such a weird dissonance with how our generation is really, I wouldn't say they're neglecting, but they seem to be preoccupied by a lot of other things besides kids, besides like the next generation. There's a lot of like, we blame the boomers for a lot of selfishness and a lot of like um neglect and stuff and kind of being being spoiled in like just the how history all came together for the boomers to
Yeah.
really take
Yeah,
advantage
yeah.
of so many different amazing opportunities that they had
Yeah. I know.
that I'm not bitter at all. But
Well, I am. I'll be bitter for both.
and like I think millennials are, I think we're kind of maybe in a cycle that is just going to keep going unless we have some conscious intervention. And I believe 100% the helicopter parenting is a direct result of that kind of luxury, like comfort level, like overthinking everything. And, so that's another hour of conversation, but we can dissect that another time.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Yeah.
wrap up here because it's been like an hour.
Sounds good.
You have any
Uh,
final
yeah, about that.
thoughts?
No, I think that I mean, it's all these different pieces that seemingly would be very not connected, but they really are. Sometimes it can be challenging to make the correlation, but
Just as long as
like
you're not advocating for dog harnesses on children.
hey, I have pictures from when I was a kid because it was a thing, right? They had harnesses with leashes.
Yeah, that is a thing. That
And
is a
I was
thing.
in Austria And there's pictures of me with my little harness on, dragging my little leash behind me.
Wow, that's oh, so that was like before, because I thought that was kind of a relatively recent thing.
No, no, no. This was like for little toddlers so they didn't run away. It was a thing
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
But it was a
That's news to
harness. Now,
me.
now they're doing the collars for older kids. But no, this was like a harness because my mom had two kids under 4 in Europe, like navigating trains. So
Oh yeah.
I had a leash on me.
That's yeah, I can understand. Wow,
So
crazy. I'm gonna
great story to end it on.
let's end it there. Great. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm talking to whoever's watching, hopefully. This is going to be a conversation that would be great for others to join in if you are interested. You get a little taste of it now. Maybe we'll have it a little more structured, but I really liked this format. So if it appeals to you, just let me know. Send me a message and we can all talk together. Okay. See you around. I'm going to stop recording now.